Good morning, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining in. So, welcome to the online session A2 of the International Conference on Reimagining and Reclaiming the Knowledge Tradition of Bharat Beyond Boundaries and Definition, organized by the Center for Study of Social Exclusion and Inclusive Policy, School of Social Sciences, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. My name is Dr. N.Haineube. I'll be your session coordinator. And I would like to also briefly welcome and introduce our session chair, that is Professor Dr. Rajiv Nayan. So Professor Nayan is a senior research associate at Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense Studies and Analysis, MP IDSA, New Delhi. He has been working with the institute since 1993, where he specializes in international relations, security issues, especially the politics of nuclear disarmament, export control, non-proliferation, and arms control. Well, he was a visiting research fellow at Japan Institute of International Affairs, Tokyo, where he published his monograph, Non-Proliferation Issues in South Asia. He was also the senior researcher at Peace Research Institute, Oslo, senior visiting research fellow at King's College, London, and visiting Fulbright scholars at Center on International Cooperation, New York University. He holds a PhD degree and a Master of Philosophy in Disarmament Studies and Masters of Arts in International Relations from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. Dr. Nayan has published books as well as papers in academic journals and, um, and as chapters in books. His single-authored book, Global Strategic Trade Management, has been published by Springer in 2019. His edited book, The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty and India, was published by Routledge in 2012. This is all about the brief about our chair. So thank you so much, sir, for joining in. And please welcome Professor Dr. Rajiv Nayan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. And I would like to thank the entire organizing team and the sponsors, ICSSR and JNU, Pragya Prava, and Makayas. So all are, I must congratulate them also for organizing this very timely and very relevant conference, international conference. I can see there are number of speakers and all are quite distinguished, but my task has been cut out. And so just to limit myself to 3 to 4 minutes. And I also congratulate the real principal organizer, Mr. Pranav Kumar, for choosing this very important topic, reimagining and reclaiming. This topic conveys the gist of the Indian tradition, that it is beyond boundaries. It is not just Indian or not just Bharati, as the word has rightly been used in this topic, but also beyond boundaries. In fact, the construction of the Indian knowledge system uh, was not parochial. It was non-parochial, and in fact, it interacted with many of the so-called civilizations, or you can say many other regions beyond India or beyond Bharat also. And in the process, it got enriched, and as rightly pointed out, the definition, it is neti neti, doesn't end. This is the crux of the philosophy of Indian knowledge tradition, that it should not end, it should not be frozen. It is not one text understanding of Indian Bharatiya tradition, Bharatiya knowledge tradition, but it is multiple sources which really enrich Indian or Bharatiya tradition. So, without taking much time, I like to move on to my real task, introducing the speakers. There are five, and all from different parts of the world. And I can see that someone is from, first speaker is from Turkey, second is from, second also from the same place, Greek, Russia, and from Romania. So the first speaker is going to speak on comparison of the idea of memory of the universe in Hinduism, Islam, and Theosophy. And she was born in Dia Kabir, Turkey, and completed her BA in Department of Classroom Teaching at the Faculty of Education at Display University. Forgive me if I by wrong pronunciation, and but yeah, we can understand because I am from this place, so I may not have interacted with many of the places, so the pronunciation may be slightly different. So forgive me for that. So, but yeah, but intention is not bad. And her MA is from Department of History of Religions at the Faculty of Theology, and she completed it in 2018. And thereafter, she moved on to PhD in Philosophy and Religious Sciences 2024. And she graduated, and her thesis title was The Sacrament of Baptism in the Syrian Church. And in her MA, that was her MA, and Creation of Hinduism in colon universe and human perception for her PhD. So she has got great variety of understanding, and her expertise is generally consists of Hinduism studies. She knows many languages. I don't want to name all the languages. And thereafter, she has sent her abstract, but I don't want to take time. So because I have been given limited time, she will speak and she will just give the gist of her topic or what the ideas which she has got in her mind. Thereafter, there is Professor Ishra Buyuk Buyukbahechi. Hope I am pronouncing it wrong. Otherwise, please tell your name. And she earned her degree in Indology from Ankara University, Faculty of Languages and History of Languages, History and Geography in 2012. Thereafter, she also completed her master's and doctoral studies. She was appointed as a research assistant in 2014, and thereafter she conducted research as a visiting scholar at the University of Hyderabad in 2016. Her speech research focuses on Indian languages, religions, and culture, and she authored multiple books and scholarly publications in different fields. And thereafter, we have got third speaker is Dr. Apostolos Michailidis. He's graduated from theology of the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in 1987. He continues his studies on a postgraduate level at Department of Philosophy and Religions at the Banaras Hindu University, and thereafter received an MA in Indian Philosophy and Religion in 1993. In 2005, he was awarded a distinguished doctorate from the Department of Theology of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. From 95 to 2020, he a teacher in secondary education, but he served at times as a lecturer in various university departments also, and he taught both undergraduate and postgraduate students. Since 2020, he has been a laboratory teaching staff member at the Department of Social Theology and Religious Studies of Nestor and Kapodistrian University of Athens. Athens has been a center of cultural studies for long, and it will be very interesting to know his viewpoint. And in fact, he has written two books on Hinduism, Women's Status in Hinduism, and Hinduism Origin, Historical Progress, Basic Beliefs, Worship 2022. Again, there will be a bit different perspective. People may have a different viewpoint in India, but yeah, there are again in India or Bharat also, there are many people who can adhere to his viewpoint also. So we have got different sources of knowledge and interpretations of the same knowledge system. So his topic will be the dissemination of Indian knowledge and culture in modern Greece. So that will be quite interesting. And Professor Isra will be speaking from Vedic knowledge to modern wisdom, the universal contributions of Indian philosophy. So now the fourth speaker, I'll just move on fast. Professor Taliya Khafizova is a multilingual singer, songwriter, composer, actress, journalist, and ethnomusicologist. She studied media and communication at Gurney American University, starting her research in India's culture as well as her career in TV presenting. Very interesting. I can find it. She then received her MA in ethnomusicology at Durham University. She conducted research on both Hindustani and Tatar music tradition, and I have got nice interaction with people who are from Tataristan, or you can say those who are Tatar. So it's a different perspective. It has got again amalgamation of several dominant cultures existing in different countries, nation states. So she currently works as a journalist at the world's leading jazz platform, all about jazz, and she is going to talk on Indian dance as a form of communication. So again, very interesting topic. I am not, she has sent her abstract, but I am not going to read out the abstract because of the paucity of time, but she will, in her presentation, that she is going to get about 20 minutes. All speakers will be getting about 20 minutes to speak, and I will be reminding them once they are nearer to it, they are nearer to the point, nearer to the time. And the last but not the least speaker is Angelica Marinescu. Please, again, please forgive my pronunciation. I'm doing my best to understand. And she is a PhD in Sociology and Communication Sciences, University of Bucharest, Romania, and University of Burgundy. She is a scientific researcher working on the sociology of recent history of Institute of Sociology, Romanian Academy, and she is an ICCR alumna and interested in Indian studies, Indian culture, society, and arts. And she is going to talk about Indian classical dance as knowledge traditions of Bharat beyond borders and boundaries, dance practice communities worldwide. So I just invite the speaker number listed here on number one. It is Miss Sevinç Aksin, Dr. Sevinç Aksin. I say, if my pronunciation is wrong, I am sure it is. Please correct me and give your correct name. So over to you, madam. You have got 20 minutes, and please, I'll remind you when you reach at 18th minute so that you can wrap it up quite well, or you can say 17th minute, I can do the same job so that you have got enough time to wrap up your presentation. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Can I screen the share screen?
First, please tell your name. Actually, I know I am.
Yes. My name is Sevinç Aksin. Welcome. Today I will present the idea of memory of the universe, the concept of the Akasha in the Hinduism, the Levh-I Mahfuz in Islam, and the Akasha records.
If you have your PowerPoint presentation, you can share from your end.
You will have to use it in share. There will
Yes.
be you can share.
I share.
Okay, it's coming. Yes.
So now you just click on the presentation.
Yes. Today I will present you the idea of memory of universe through the concept of the Akasha in Hinduism, in the Levh-I Mahfuz in Islam, and the Akashic records in the Theosophy. The universe has a memory that records the past, present, future with the divine knowledge and the consciousness. Therefore, in order to know the memory of the universe, it is necessary to know the examples and the experience of the concept in these religions. In this study, it's aimed to reveal the idea of the memory of the universe, its entirety and with its differences based on the concept of the Akasha, the Levh-I Mahfuz, and the Akashic records. Akasha, the Levh-I Mahfuz, and the Akashic records are the repository of the universe information that has been and will be written throughout the human life. The universe is a bridge between man and God. The perception of the universe includes the metaphysic and material worlds. Therefore, the idea of memory of universe record the existence in the cycle of metaphysical world. In Hinduism, Akasha, knowledge of the absolute. In Hinduism, the knowledge and conscience of the universe, knowledge of the absolute Brahman. The idea that the universe has a memory associated with the element Akasha. According to Hinduism, Akasha is a immaterial element that exists from Brahman, the one, the eternal and all-pervading absolute one that permeates the universe. Akasha is the matter in space that is the source of beings and source creation. So that Akasha is material aspect of the universe, but is as a dimension that cannot be perceived by the senses. Therefore, it is in the metaphysics realm. Akasha beyond the matter, sub-element, and only eternal basic element found in the other four substances. It is the most basic substance from the five elements of creation, Panchabhuta, because the air, fire, water, and earth elements are derived from the Akasha. According to Upanishad, Akasha is born from the Holy Spirit Atman. In the Taittiriya Upanishad, it states that the creation of man, who has material and spiritual aspect, is first born from the soul. From this sense, Atman, Akasha arises. From the Akasha one, from the one fire, from the fire water, from the water earth, from the earth plants, from plants food, from food semen, from semen man Purusha. According to Hinduism, everything experienced records in Akasha. Therefore, the individual's embodiment in the next life, other words, the philosophy of karma, is shaped by Akasha records. Akasha and its combination forms are hidden in Hiranyagarbha, the womb of universe. The Hiranyagarbha Brahman egg was created by Purusha from combination Akasha, air, fire, water, and the earth. From Brahman the egg, the world, the universe of science, is created. For this reason, Akasha is the link and factor between the worldly realm and the metaphysics realm. In Islam, Levh-I Mahfuz, Allah's absolute knowledge. In the Islamic religion, the fact that the universe has a memory is explained with the concept of the Levh-I Mahfuz, preserved tablet. The Levh-I Mahfuz is holy book that states that Allah knows, sees, and controls everything in the universe. In the Quran, the term Levh-I Mahfuz means preserved tablet. The Levh-I Mahfuz is a divine recording system and book in which everything is written with the knowledge and will of Allah, where the past, present, future are known as whole and no changeable is possible. The creation process is everything that will exist in heavens and the earth, as well as the deed and afterlife, are written in the Levh-I Mahfuz. According to Islam, the angel Gabriel conveyed the verses of Quran from the Levh-I Mahfuz to the Prophet Muhammad. The Levh-I Mahfuz is unseen word, where faith and divine knowledge are preserved. And entirely to enter this world is with knowledge and permission of Allah. The term Levh-I Mahfuz is related to eternal knowledge, information, and wisdom of Allah. There is no detailed information given in the Quran about the Levh-I Mahfuz is. However, the Burak Surah, the Qamar Surah, the Anam Surah, the Hajj Surah, the Yasin Surah in the Quran contain direct or indirect verse about the Levh-I Mahfuz. The Quran explains the concept of Levh-I Mahfuz in the context of Allah's knowledge, destiny, and the wisdom of creation. In the Surah Yasin of Quran, the Levh-I Mahfuz is defined as a book. In this verse, the Levh-I Mahfuz is defined as the divine record, where people's deeds and works are recorded. In the verse of Hajj, Levh-I Mahfuz expressed as a book that points to and records Allah's knowledge, that knows and sees everything. However, the evidence for the existence of the Quran, the metaphysical world, before it was revealed to the world, is that it was written on the Levh-I Mahfuz. In Theosophy, Akashic records, the library of the universe. Theosophy explained the idea of memory of the universe with the concept of Akashic records. According to Theosophy, Akasha
everything Elon Musk does seems to somehow turn out wrong.
Please just
That is quite a statement. When you look at what he has done through this dojo on this, that according to the White House he may or may not be running, we don't really know.
Organizers, please mute the person.
Upcoming depositions. But for right now, Elon.
Sorry for Okay.
Also,
Okay.
Akashic records in Theosophy, the library of universe. Theosophy explained the idea of memory of the universe with the concept of the Akasha. According to Theosophy, Akasha is source, memory, omnipresence, matter of everything that exists in the universe. Yes. According to Theosophy philosophy, inspired by Eastern philosophy in Hinduism and Buddhism, space, universe, or Akasha are synonymous words, and Akasha is anima mundi, the only element. Accordingly, Akasha is considered the root of life, which is eternal, living, feeling, thinking, and contains everything. The Akasha universal library of knowledge. The Akasha record is defined as energy traces the universe, not a physical phenomenon. According to Theosophic pioneer Rudolf Steiner, Akasha is substance found in the universe, and this substance has been marked by everything that has happened everywhere and all times in history of universe. The memory of comparison in the Hinduism, Islam, Theosophy, according to trace of human destiny in universe, karma, fate, reincarnation. In Hinduism, according to Hinduism, karma is basic principle of the next life. In Islam, the concept of destiny in Islam is that Allah knows and predetermines everything in advance. In Theosophy, the Akasha records or the composition is directly or the related to idea of karma and reincarnation. Okay. Yes. In Hinduism, Akasha is place where the individual karma is stored, and it also affects the cycle of the soul in the next life. In Islam, the Levh-I Mahfuz is a divine record that is evidence of Allah's infinite knowledge and power. In Theosophy, thoughts, words, feelings, and intentions that have occurred in the past, present, or future are coded and recorded in the Akasha realm and non-physical plane of the existence. In Hinduism, after death, the action of an individual are recorded in the Akasha in the rebirth cycle according to their karma. According to in Quran, the word of Allah, the destiny of man was written in the Levh-I Mahfuz before it was created. The Theosophy, the idea that the feelings, thoughts, action of a person in their earthly life are recorded in the metaphysical realm has also shaped life after death. In Hinduism, the reincarnation, which is the transmigration of the souls, determined according to the karma samsara cycle. The trace of individuals' karma are recorded in Akasha world. As a result of these records, the transmigration of souls takes shapes in the samsara cycle. However, knowing the Akasha knowledge doesn't prevent reincarnation. It only provides awareness in the choice in the next life. In the Hindu holy texts, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Puranas, and Yoga Sutra texts, there are statements that directly or indirectly support that Akasha, which is born from Atman, is a file that stores karma of the universe. In Hinduism, it is not possible to completely change prarabdha karma, which is the karma of an individual arising from their actions in life. Hindu individuals can reach their past karma with spiritual awareness, yoga, meditation, and with this knowledge, they can make conscious choice in their future action. Therefore, accessing Akasha information doesn't clear past karma. It only allows the individual to have conscious choice in future karmas. In Islam, the Levh-I Mahfuz is in unseen world, where faith and divine knowledge are preserved, and entry into this world is with knowledge and permission of Allah. The Levh-I Mahfuz present the knowledge of Allah, who knows, sees, controls everything. All action, all choose of man in life were written in the Levh-I Mahfuz before he was created. Therefore, the Levh-I Mahfuz is associated with the faith. It is stated in the Quran that destiny was written with the Allah knowledge before creation and recorded in the Levh-I Mahfuz. This also reveals that the Levh-I Mahfuz existed in the metaphysical world before creation, and therefore that destiny was written before the life of man. According to Islamic scholars, the destiny writing in Levh-I Mahfuz is defined and unchangeable. However, praying for Allah's mercy is related to the fact that changes that may occur in the written destiny are again under Allah's knowledge plan. According to Islam, Allah knows with Allah's knowledge, and wisdom choose person will make, but Allah doesn't intervene. Therefore, the destiny writing in Levh-I is person own choice. According to Theosophy, the trace of an individual's action leave trace in the Akashic records and recorded in the universe. These traces shape individuals' next life cycle. Therefore, Akashic records can be considered tool in the functioning of karma. According to Theosophists, the Akashic records, which are the trees of soul in life in the universe, shape the individual's karma and reincarnation cycle. If the individual has committed a negative action in his or her worldly life, the traces of this are stored in the Akashic world in the universe. If information in the Akashic world is negative, the soul is born in a negative, challenge, environment and form, and if it's positive, it's born in conscious and easy learning condition. This is a table comparison. And then modern interpretation, we see that idea of memory in modern interpretation and scientific perspective. The idea of memory of universe has been addressed in various ways in modern sciences, philosophy, physiology, metaphysics. This approach focuses on the concept of the preserving and transferring information in the universe. In modern Western world, the idea of accessing the Akashic record has given birth to various scientific and spiritual approaches. These are various approaches such as the Akashic factor, esoteric and spirit approaches, quantum physics and karma, the holographic universe model, collective subconscious theory, noetic science and conscience, and the morphic field theory. According to Akasha field theory, Akasha is defined as field matrix that stores information and energy of entire universe. In quantum physics, quantum field theory is also accepted as a modern interpretation of Akasha. According to this theory, energy and information can be preserved in field. They also associate with the law of karma. According to the holographic universe model, David Hume suggests that the universe is like a hologram. Based on this, he argues that each piece in the universe has knowledge and whole. Therefore, this story is supported by the idea that knowledge of universe is recorded in Akasha field. In conclusion, the idea of memory of universe profound commonality among Hinduism, Islam, and Theosophy, though each tradition conceptualizes and uniquely. Hinduism, Akasha, and Theosophy, Akashic empires a dynamic, evolving repository of past action, whereas Levh-I Mahfuz in Islam represents a fixed divine record of all existence. Reaching the record in Akasha world cannot change the trace of their karma in the previous life, but it allows them to direct themselves to conscious action in the next life. The Levh-I Mahfuz doesn't change, but Allah has stated in the Quran that negative destiny can be shaped by prayer. This has been proven that the recording of destiny can be shaped by knowledge and will of Allah. It has been concluded that the basic concept and philosophical thought of the idea of memory of universe in Theosophy were shaped by Hinduism. However, while Hinduism associates with the knowledge of Allah, Theosophy based in the function of the universe. Modern scientific and philosophical theories have built their theories based on the idea that universe has a structure that records everything in this ancient perspective. Thank you. It's over.
Thank you very much for finishing before time, allotted time. So I'm really thankful. Now I invite the second speaker, Professor Esra Büyükbahçeci. Again, I will request the speaker to correctly pronounce her name. So thank you very much. Over to you, madam. Professor Esra. Is she here? If not, has she come?
Sir, I think she didn't join yet, or maybe she is not joining in.
Can
So-
move to the third speaker, Dr. Apostolos Michailidis. So over to you, sir.
So, can you hear me?
Yeah, very much.
Okay. Namaskar to everyone. आप कैसे Professor Nayan? So, thank you. Dhanyavad. So, Angrizeme. First of all, I have to thank Professor Pranav Kumar for inviting me to join in this very important international conference. My presentation is the dissemination of Indian knowledge and culture in modern Greece, so I will not deal with a philosophical topic. So just to present what modern Greece knows about India since 1830, which is the year of independence and the establishment of the new Greek state. It's impossible in a limited time frame to cover that vast topic in just 20 minutes, but I'll try to give an epitome of what Greece knows about India. So I will share a PowerPoint with you. Just a moment.
Go ahead. This share button you have to hit. Yeah, thank you.
I have had some
Then you have to
pictures.
presentation.
So is it clear now? Can you see it?
Yeah, we can see it, but you can make it better by clicking on the presentation side. Otherwise, it's okay.
Okay. So I will present evidence of the Greek interest in Indian philosophy and culture, as well as the diffusion of Indian concepts, terms, and artistic expressions into Greek daily life. There is no need to revisit the cultural relations between ancient Greece and ancient India. Those interested in the subject can refer to classical and standard works, such as those by John McRiddle, William Tarn, A.K. Narayan, Osmund Bopearachi, Uday Prakasa Arora, who is fluent in Greek as well. I know that person. Anil Kumar Singh from the University of Delhi, Paul Bernard, Richard Stallman, Dimitrios Belisaropoulos, the ex-ambassador in Delhi, and Marius Veretas. As for the historical background, I will focus on what Greek scholars and writers wrote about India following the Greek nation's independence from Ottoman rule and the establishment of the Greek state in 1830. The first significant figure is Dimitrios Galanos, that guy who lived in India for 46 years, 6 years in Kolkata and 40 years in Varanasi. His job still exists there. I have found it in 1990. Uh, Translating a quite large number of Sanskrit texts. Upon his death in 1833, all his manuscripts, bound into 20 volumes, sent to Greece and preserved in the National Library of Athens. Between 1843 and 1853, 10 of his manuscripts were published in 7 volumes by Georgios Tipaldos, the founder of the library, and the librarian Georgios Apostolidis. Among Galanos' translations were selections from Bhatrihari's Satakatraya, 330 verses from the poems Niti Sataka and Vairagya Sataka, Lagu Chanakya, 86 verses, and Bhamini Vilasa, 98 verses. He also translated Balabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Raghuvamsa, Itihasa Samuchaya, Hitopadesha or Panchatantra, and Devi Mahatmyam. Galanos also translated Bhagavata Purana into Greek, of course, but financial difficulties prevented its publication. Additionally, he compiled dictionaries from Persian, Indian languages, that is Sanskrit, Bengali, and Hindi. He was fluent in these languages, to English and Greek. A compilation of his dictionaries was edited in Facsimile by the Greek Indian Association of Athens in 2001, leading to the publication of a lexicon Sanskrit, English, Greek in 2010, and it still remains in circulation. You can see the first book on the left is Bhagavad Gita, and on the right is the lexicon in Sanskrit, English, and Greek. Among his other works, only Bhagavad Gita is still widely available in bookstores nowadays. Other Greek translations of Gita exist. There are more than 30, including one by Theodoros Paduvas, a member of Ramakrishna Mission, who translated it from Sanskrit in 1979. This edition has been republished 6 times, whereas other versions are translations from English rather than directly from Sanskrit. That translation of Theodoros Duvas is on the on the left side, but the picture is Buddhistara. That's a mistake of the publication house. And on the right is the translation of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. As for later translations of Indian text, after Galanos's death, translation of Indian text into Greek became sporadic. Notable efforts include Georgios Cherepis, a professor of the University of Athens, who translated Kalidasa's Megaduta and authored Indica Meletimata. That means Indian readings in 1888. That work included 5 hymns from Rig Veda and the Nala e Damayanti episode from Mahabharata. After him, Ioannis Karolidis, an archaeologist and classical scholar, wrote a narrative based on the Nala and Damayanti story published in 1901. Konstantinos Theotokis, that guy, a novelist and poet, translated from Sanskrit Abhignana Sakundalam in 1908, and later wrote a history of Indian literature published posthumously by the National Bank of Greece in 1993. Lorenzus Mavilis, that one, began translating from Sanskrit the Nala and Damayanti episode, but he died before completing it in a battlefield during the First Balkan War. Theotokis completed it in 1914, followed by 3 reeditions till 1990. The story was staged by the theater group Theorisis in 2011 in Athens. In 1922, Rabindranath Tagore's 2 lyric dramas, Chitra and Sannyasi, were translated into Greek. Since then, more than 20 editions of Tagore's works have been published in Greece, including Gitanjali, The Home in the World, or Gare in Bengali, Fireflies, The Gardener, Stray Birds, sadhana, mahwa, the hunger stones, or Ksudita religion of man, notes in the nature of reality, and so on. Mahatma Gandhi also gained recognition in Greece as early as 1929. The great Greek encyclopedia Pisos, that means torch, featured an entry on Gandhi by Kostas Varnalis, a poet, discussing Gandhi's biography and ideas. Since then, many articles about him have been published in Greek newspapers and journals, alongside translations of his works, including his life and philosophy by authors like Ved Mehta, Arun Gandhi, Bhikkhu Parekh, Romain Rolland, David Downing, Trudy Settle, and others. The statue of Gandhi stands nowadays in Athens in front of the Embassy of India as a tribute to his struggle for freedom and higher values. Jawaharlal Nehru also drew significant interest from the Greek raiders. So his discovery of India was translated in 1954, followed by his glimpses of world history in 1955 and his autobiography in 1959. His daughter, Indira Gandhi, the first female Prime Minister of India, was also a focus of interest, with translations of books about her published in Greek between 1973 and 2021. Her own book, My Truth, was published into Greek in 1983. And, sorry, these are some books about Indira Gandhi, and her own book is the first one on the left. Greek readers have shown particular interest in Indian philosophy and spirituality, even though that more than 19% of the Greek population follow the Eastern Orthodox Greek Christian tradition. In 1954, Swami Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi became the earliest Greek translation on yoga, presenting it as a meditation method and way of life. That book, in different editions, that translation opened avenues for deeper engagement with Indian spirituality, followed by translations of works by numerous spiritual masters, more than 20, such as Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Swami Vivekananda, Swami Brahmananda, Swami Paramananda, Sri Ramana Maharshi, Swami Prabhupada, Swami Sadhyananda Saraswati, Kirpal Singh, also or Rajneesh, Sri Satya Sai Baba, Sadhguru, Sri Madhusudan Sai, just to mention some of them. There has also been a significant number of Greek translation of ancient and classical Indian texts. You can see here the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna in Mahayoga by Ramana Maharshi, Raja Yoga from Swami Vivekananda. I think all the works of Swami Vivekananda have been translated in Greek. So, as for the classical Indian texts, that include Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samveda, and the principal Upanishads, along with the commentaries of Sankara, Yoga Upanishads, Ramayana, epitomes of Mahabharata, Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, with the Bhashya of Vyasa, Yoga Vasista, Siva Sutras, Avadhuta Gita, Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Kama Sutra, of course, and so on. There are many Indian texts translated into Greek. 6 of the texts attributed to Sankara have also been translated, such as Upadesa Sahastri, Dakshinamutri Stotra, Paroksa Nubhuti, and Bhaja Govindam, just to mention. Additionally, Buddhist texts like the Dhammapanda, Milinda Panha, Lankavatara Sutra, Nagarjuna's Mulamadhyama Karika, etc. have also been translated. There have also been translated works by scholars specializing in Indian philosophy and religion, such as David Frawley or Vamadeva Sastri, Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, Theos Bernard, Mircea Eliade, Georg Feuerstein, Janine Miller, Helmut von Glascheder, just to mention some of them. And here is Sankaracharya's Upadeha Sahastri, translated in Greek. The main Upanishads, along with the commentaries of Sankaracharya, and Bhaja Govindam by Sankaracharya. In literature, apart from Tagore, recent translations include works such as 100 Indian Poets, that is a collective volume published in 2023, Arundhati Roy novels, Sharat Chandra Chattopadhyay as well, Vikram Chandra, and Deepa Anapra. Concerning academic research on Indian culture in Greek university, although systematic Indian studies have not been established in Greek universities, there have been significant efforts to understand Indian religions and philosophy. So, Leonidas Philippidis, professor of history of religions at the School of Theology in the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, was the first to explore these topics academically, focusing on Vedanta and Buddhist teaching. Just to mention that from the beginning of the 20th century, only 4 Greeks, including myself, have studied in Indian universities Indian philosophy and religion. Subsequent scholars at the same school, such as the late Archbishop of Tirana in all Albania, named Anastasios Giannolatos, Dionysius Dokouras, my supervisor, Stylianos Papalexandropoulos, contributed to the study of Indian religions, including myself, Apostolos Michailidis, by teaching and writing on the related topics. Specifically, the Department of Social Theology and Religious Studies, and which I serve, established in 2018, aims to enhance understanding through educational meetings with Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist communities, not neglecting the contact with other religions like Islam and Judaism. So here you can see some books of the academics mentioned, and that one as well. at the School of Theology at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, Gregorios Yakas and Niki Papageorgiou have also authored works related to Indian religions. And moreover, Sanskrit was taught in 80s and 90s at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki by professor of linguistics named Michael Setatos, while Hindi is taught at the University of Athens by Dr. Dimitrios Vasiliadis since 2005. He also wrote a Sanskrit grammar and a dictionary, Hindi and Greek dictionary. Finally, regarding the influence of Indian culture in Greek daily life. As for the pictures, it's from visits to Indian communities, Sikh community in Athens, the ISKCON prayer house, and the Theravada center in Athens. As for the influence of Indian culture in Greek daily life, the Sanskrit words yoga, guru, karma, nirvana have become commonly used in Greek daily conversations. However, their meaning have been adopted to local interpretations. The term yoga is generally understood as a physical and psychological wellness practice rather than as a meditation or spiritual discipline due to the fact that Hatha yoga has spread mainly in Greece. There are over 140 registered yoga schools in Greece, a significant number, I could say, for a country with a population just over 10 million. Karma is being understood as fate, destiny, the reciprocation of actions, not necessarily connected with the concept of rebirth. And as for nirvana, the average Greek understands it as a state of trance or detachment, even indifference sometimes. Greek interest in Ayurveda has also grown. In Athens, a holistic medicine center offers Ayurvedic therapies and organizes seminars on its applications. The center was founded in 1999 by Dr. Nikolaos Kostopoulos, who is fluent in Sanskrit as well. Indian dance has gained popularity, particularly Bharatanatyam and other kinds of Indian dance as Kathak as well, represented by Miss Lida Sandala, along with Bollywood dance schools offering public performances. Indian classical music has also notable Greek exponents, such as Konstantinos Kalaitzis and Dimitrios Roumeliotis. That guy lecturing at the Department of Social Theology and Religious Studies. Indian cinema has been especially popular in Greece since the decade of 60s, when Indian actresses like Nargis, Madhubala, and Meena Kumari became widely known. Nowadays, Greek audiences recognize filmmakers such as Satyajit Ray, Meera Nair, and Payal Kapadia. As for the Indian theater, Professor Bharat Gupta contributed significantly to making it known in Greece during his visit and research in Greece at 90s. He lectured in Greek universities and had a series of constructive discussions with Professor Yangos Andreadis on TV Channel 5. It is a remarkable and joyful fact that Mrs. Satya Kasimi started translating in Greek his book Dramatic Concepts, Greek and Indian, a study of poetics and Nitya Shastra. Indian cuisine has also gained popularity with numerous restaurants opening across Greece. In conclusion, India and its culture are quite well known in Greece. The presence of philosophy and spirituality in bookstores, music concerts, and dance performances reflects a meaningful cultural exchange that continues to thrive. So, आपके ध्यान देने के लिए धन्यवाद, Professor Rajiv Nayan and Professor Pranav Kumar. Thank you all for your time, and I hope for a future international conference about India. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Apostolos Michailidis, and thank you very much. Very enlightening lecture, and you covered from the ancient times to the modern periods and all the writings, all the works which have been done by various authors, and there are some works which do not have any author, like Vedas. Vedas do not have any author. They are
Yes,
basically they are
that's
basically
true.
writing. This is the uniqueness of Indian tradition. I will not say beauty of the Indian tradition, but thank you very much. It is very comprehensive, and you covered lots of grounds during your presentation. Now I have got the fourth speaker. I don't know. I missed. May I just turn to the moderator? What is the status of other speakers? Could you please inform me? Should I go ahead with the fourth?
It seems like they are not able to join us today, so we'll see if there's time for in the other session. For now, we should give a walkover.
Walk over. Don't say walk over. We'll wait for them. Meanwhile, if they're joining,
I tried connecting with them, but it seems
okay.
they're
So
not available.
meanwhile, if any of the participants has got any question for the two speakers who gave very brilliant presentations, so they may ask the questions. I don't know what is the mode, so organizers may tell me. So I think they can come on the screen and ask questions, or they can send their questions also in the chat box. Whatever mode is preferred, I am okay with that. So chat, I think there is something on chat. So no, that is not very insightful presentation. But if you have got any question for the two speakers, meanwhile, we'll wait for other three speakers who have not joined in yet. So is it okay, Dr. N.Haineube? Is it fine if I adopt this mode?
Yes.
So please ask questions from the two speakers who are here. If there is no question, I can ask the question. I can kick off the discussion. Then I think the others may join in. I'll start with the second speaker because it's very lucid presentation. In fact, just to tell you that I have written a very short article about Demetrios Galanos, and in fact, I recommended the Indian government to institute whatever you call something in his name, chair or an institution or a center, so that the relationship between the two, say, civilization, Greek and India, can be a cultural, especially relationship, uh, is strengthened. And I agree with you. He had translated a number of works, Indian Bharatiya works, traditions, and which are well received in Greece. So, but
Yes.
you mentioned about other speakers also. So my point is, what is the current status? Like generally we know that, yeah. So in France there was Indology, and in Greek generally may be mistaken, and we also read history written by uh, people who may not be well versed, may have got their own viewpoints, their own interpretation, but
Hmm.
apparently Greek wants to be associated with the so-called Oriental civilization, with Indian, this knowledge tradition, and they were more comfortable. So is this thinking is still on, or there are changes? Now, of course, this is part of Western civilization, but in ancient India, I think there was an urge to be associated with what is so-called Oriental. So is this thinking on, or and what is the status in different
Yeah,
of
we are aware of these difficulties, even distortion sometimes. And in fact, Indological studies were not established in Greece. Um, Only in the schools of theology, there are two schools of theology in Greece, one in Athens, another one in Thessaloniki. There were, and still there are, courses about Indian religions. That means Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism as well. And that teachers and writers were based on mainly in the European research. That I mean German, British, and English. But where we are aware that sometimes um, based on books which have been written in European languages, maybe there is a kind of distortion from the original Sanskrit text. I've, and so we try through Greek language, because have similarities with Sanskrit, to find what is the real point, that it's the turning point. Um, so we try to understand through the medium of ancient languages what is the real meaning of Indian spirituality, I could say. So um, there are some people in Greece who have want to have an immediate contact with direct contact with Indian culture, visiting India. Uh, I'm a theologist, okay. I'm an Orthodox Christian, but I wanted to study in India. I wanted to study in the source, just by curiosity, because I considered that Indians can teach me better than uh, um, what to say, um, English, Germans, whatever. So there is an interest in Indian philosophy and spirituality from a part of Greek population, even though, as I said in the beginning, the most of the Greeks follow the Orthodox Christian tradition. But we're willing to learn. We're willing to have a contact with other civilizations and culture. That's true. For the benefit of humanity, I think, for a better future of humanity, for justice, democracy, for open mindedness, I could say. I think that is enough, if you understood me.
Oh, that's very good. So now I move to the first speaker. I'll get back to you because I'll just use this time because other speakers may be turning late or they may have miscarried
Okay.
time.
Sorry
So,
for your time.
so I'll go to the Miss Sevinç Aksin, doctor rather, and if she is here, so if she can come on the screen, and then I have a couple of questions for her. See, are you there? Can you listen? Otherwise, I will continue with Dr. Michailidis. I think she is not. Oh, she's there. So now I have a question for you. You talked about, you made some comparison, nice comparison between the Indian tradition and theosophical tradition and Levh-I Mahfuz. And so could you just tell me the contextual study if you have conducted and that study and you may find if there are differences existing, what could be the reasons for differences, and if you can point out, now you have time, there are some differences also existing, so can it be just rolled over or can those differences be uh, uh, be ended with proper interactions and dialogue among these the people who are following it. So, do you have any idea about that, or anything else you want to speak on, which you thought that you had not spoken because of the paucity of time? So that also you can contribute. Okay, over to you, ma'am. You have to unmute yourself first. You are muted, so just unmute her if it has been done from this side. So could you just press unmute on your system?
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
what.
understand very well. Internet is, couldn't.
Yeah, my point is that you talked about three traditions in your presentation, including Levh-I Mahfuz,
Yes.
and one is theosophical, and you pointed out the great similarities among all the traditions. So there could be differences. So what are the differences, and what I want to say, have you read or worked on the contextual uh, background of all the three traditions, and why these different? If there are differences, why are these differences coming? If similarities are there, why are these similarities coming up? Or if you
Simultaneously.
want to say anything else, then you are also free to talk. What if you did not cover during your limited presentation, 20-minute presentation? You can also continue and you can also talk about things which you think you have left out because of the paucity or lack of time.
Yeah, similarity and differences in these religions is very well, not a little. In other religions, I don't compare the similarity. I don't understand you very well. Sorry, but in Hindu Holy Spirit, I study in Hindu Holy Spirit Puranas, Upanishad, as study in creation in my doctorate PhD. I am in Turkey, Islam Levh-I Mahfuz, and in the Quran, very well similarity. Not the idea of memory of universe is a record in Hinduism, in Hinduism, in Islam. But Theosophy is there. Is implicit in the inspired in the Buddhist and Hindu philosophy. So that I want to do in my near. I I have failed. I in my near. I understood. So that I don't look to any other religions.
No, no, okay, so I'm just coming on that. So, what in India, there are many ways to like approach these traditions. Like one which you generally say Hindu tradition or Hinduism, many say the Vedic traditions. and some is Buddhist tradition, but it's all part of Indian tradition, Bharatiya tradition. And many even say this is all part of Hindu traditions. It's again matter of understanding, because gradually it is being perceived as the part of one tradition. This is the continuity of one tradition. So there could be there. So what now my point is, as you have studied different traditions, Indian Bharatiya tradition, Vedic traditions, Buddhist tradition, am I right?
Yes, of course. Yes,
So
right.
you may have found some continuity in the two traditions or differences in the two traditions. So could you say about that, why and why these differences have come and why these differences exist? Have you done any work on that? It's okay. If you have not,
Yes,
it's
thank you. Thank you very much.
so. Do you have anything else to add? So you are free to do that.
Thank you.
That's okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Anyway, so now I move again to Dr. Michailidis, if he is prepared to answer a couple of other questions. Meanwhile, I think chat box has got some questions. So I think Ms. Chandra Anand has asked this question. That nice to know that Indian ideas and thought culture is well known, particularly Indian dancing and yoga. Thank you. Okay, so he has already answered. So now my question is to you, if you want to answer. Like now, recently, our Prime Minister went to Greece, and he had signed and issued a joint statement with your government. And in that, interestingly, culture has just formed a part. So, what do you think that what can be done to now you focus on many modern aspects? What can be done to, I will not just say disseminate.
The best can be done. I have met the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I had a discussion with him, and even though I'm not a politician, uh, not a member of the parliament, I think that the Greek government wants to continue on this subject, to have more strong connections with India. That is the thought. Yeah? That is the aim. Because India, okay, it's has a historical culture, a historical civilization. Both nations, both countries has connections since the ancient times, and since the not only from the Alexander time, I would say earlier. Huh? So um, there are that kind of art, the Gandhara, if I pronounce well, the Buddhist Greek art played a significant role. And there are also similarities between the ancient Greek language and Sanskrit. The construction is the same, I could say. And also on the political level, the figures of Mahatma Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru, even Indira Gandhi, there were fields, how to say, of inspiration about the Greek, from the Greek people. And I cannot see any difficulty in continuing that, I could say, connection between these two countries. I think the future is open to both of us. And let's hope for the best. I don't like to talk more about this topic because I'm not a politician, but you understand about that. But as I can see, the relationship of India and Greece since long ago were, well, I could say, they were good. So, pardon me, but I'm not a prophet, not even an astrologer, but the field seems to be open for future cooperation between these countries, I mean, Greece and India. I don't have to add something more about this. And just to say something, I met some months ago the Minister of Defense, and I asked him, what's our relationship with Indians? And he said to me, the best. That's all.
No, one question, like generally, I found people studying, say, classical tradition. Let us not call it ancient tradition. And some Chinese traditions have also been studied by some Western scholars. And basically, they wanted to understand the mysticism of China, say, because it was not an open society. So this is one question. But India is an open society. It is ready with all its traditions, its knowledge. So now, because now earlier, because China was rising, quote unquote, rising, and its economic rise basically, and its military and political rise also. So it generated curiosity in the West to understand the tradition, the Chinese, different Chinese tradition. And some writings have also come. Some writings just understood the classical tradition to understand the strategic tradition of China. So, what do you think? So, is the rise of Asia generating interest in the Western society, especially in Greece, to learn that tradition? Because I saw also in some of the abstracts that generally it is found that all other countries' traditions also were quite complex, and you have to understand the society. So you cannot see it from the lens of what where you are, but from the lens of others. So that part can, do you think that this thinking coming up in Greece and in other parts of Europe? So my question, because you are working on dissemination, so I would like to know about that.
May I have to answer?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you can, I mean, I will just
Okay, just will try, I think. Without effort, nothing can happen. So, I don't know. I think that tendency of humans to expand the curiosity comes from ancient times. We are talking about globalism nowadays, but globalism started long ago, I think. So someone writes here, cultural relationships could have existed since the time of Plato. Yes, long ago, I could say. Some analogies between the myth and the chariots of Plato's Phaedrus and Kata Upanishad are astonishing. Yes, that comes from a common human experience, I could say. It is not only a question of images, I could say, but a question of faction, of knowing, of the destiny of persons and the positions of persons in reality. I agree. So you said about mysticism, Professor. Mysticism, we can find all over the world. In Greece, we have mysticism, Christian mysticism, and there are some phenomenological similarities between Christian mysticism, Indian mysticism, even Chinese mysticism. That's a common human experience, I could say. Monks in the Holy Mount, if you have heard, there is a how to say, a Christian monastery community there, practice prayer, controlling their breath. That is called in Sanskrit pranayama, I could say. So there are some common experiences in the field of religion, in the field of mysticism, in the field of culture. So we have to discover them. So in order to be more close as humans, and in order to communicate, in order to make a better society for the future. I think that you understand me. I don't, there is no need to talk more because all the people here are educated. I don't want to say something more.
Okay. Have you completed your presentation, your remarks?
Yourself, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I am just told by the organizers that one of the person is hospitalized, so she could not come. She is from Turkey. So other two are not approachable, I believe. So what I do then, I think if anyone, again, I remind the audience, if you still have got some questions, two of our wonderful speakers are still available and they can answer your questions. Otherwise, I will give very brief remarks on today's two very brilliant presentations. Yes, someone it seems wants to speak. Is there anyone? Again, I think there is observation. Would you like to? Anyone wants to comment on that? Plotinus on the one hand and Chandogya Upanishad on Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Want to speak, Mr. Michailidis?
Just, I'm looking at the comments here about Chandogya Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and Plotinus. If there are connections there are, but I think try to find what's the original source. If Plotinus had borrowed from the Upanishads or the opposite, there is no so I could say important. I believe that there is a common human experience with various expressions. I'm not sure if Plotinus borrowed from Upanishad. There are no historical testimonies, but of course there are similarities. There is no doubt about this. Plato, his idealism, there are, what to say, we can find some glimpses of idealism in Indian philosophy as well. But trying now to analyzing who invented first that concept or idea or whatever, I don't think can lead to something beneficial. Ideas by themselves are beneficial, I could say.
Okay, so I think one speaker is already here. So she's in a different name. So Angelica Marinescu. So may I request you to give you should have told us before.
My excuses. I thought my excuses. Namaskar, Professor Rajiv, Nayan. I was waiting for my turn, then I understood that you
Because
do
it
not
was,
see me.
I was told that you have not joined in because your name is different.
Yes,
So Helena, so we could not recognize you. Sorry for apologies for that. But please
no
go
issue.
ahead. Go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you so much. I would like to thank the organizers for including me in this conference, and especially Professor Pranav Kumar, who invited me and was very kind during our exchanges. I do not have a PowerPoint. I can share my notes, but I can generally read. I will talk about Indian classical dance as knowledge tradition of Bharat beyond borders and boundaries, dance practice communities worldwide. My presentation is based on my previous researches on Indian classical dance as a cultural and heritage research object. I would like to mention that as an ICCR scholar, as you were talking of the exchanges between India and other countries, I was a recipient of this prestigious scholarship offered by the Ministry of India, for which I'm very grateful, which allowed me to spend 3 years in Orissa, learning Odissi, which is one form of Indian classical dance, as you know. It was the occasion for me not only to learn the technique, but also to live and explore the dynamic environment of one important area of tradition, sacredness, and rich heritage of India, and also to discuss with eminent representatives of Indian classical dance, such as Guru Kumkum Mohanty, who is a Padma Shri, one of the main exponents of Odissi style, and other Indian and international dance practitioners. As I said in the abstract, dance is situated at the intersection of multiple definitions of an aesthetic practice and experiences, as well as identitary approaches. And as I'm very much interested in this concept of knowledge tradition of Bharat, and incorporates the long history of India and its complex cultural developments, constituting a form of cultural, tangible and intangible heritage, with a living and effervescent contemporary local, statal, national and international development of my observation. I hope correct. As tradition and memory of the past, Indian classical dance define its identity in a continually renewed dynamics, from tradition to respectful innovation between worship, ritual, social communication as a form of mediation of sacredness. In this exploration regarding Indian classical dance, there are two notions or theoretical aspects that I include, which one is one of tradition with its plural traditions, of course, defined as a set of values, symbols, ideas, and constraints that determine the adherence to a social and cultural justified order by referring to the past, and that ensure the protection of this order. I have more definitions, but I'll skip. And heritage, which is used lately, and especially at international level, and in connection to the UNESCO international policies. From social sciences point of view, it is a form of cultural mediation, and includes also this idea of something transmitted by our predecessors. What interests me more is that beyond being an identity symbol, creating this continuity between past, present, and future, it is an unifying element for a community. I will situate myself in this position of a foreigner, And when, as a foreigner, one steps into such an intricate territory as that of the Indian classical dance, this cultural field needs to be encompassed in a larger perspective, including approaches that are inherent to the specificity of the Indian classical arts and culture. Learning about Indian dance means to step into the sway of radically different configurations and possibilities for thought and being. It means entering a new landscape in which we are ourselves made new. So it happened to me as to others that I had to understand what's cultural, what Indian dance means beyond the temptation of Orientalism, exoticism, and I had to okay, this I was already beyond, but I had to understand what it means, rasa, bhava, bhakti, shringara, understand, at least try to start understanding the philosophical and religion system that gave birth to what is now called Indian classical dance. I would like to, so the 3 years, the question is what we do also with the time spent there, with the field, with the learning. And this in the years after my scholarship ended in 2020, and along with other topics of research, the 3 years in Orisha gave me, first of all, and I'm grateful, and I will always mention her, I had this opportunity to closely meeting Padma Shri Kumkum Mohanty, who I lived with her, and she shared a lot of her biography and her knowledge in the revival of the Orisi classical dance. On her, I wrote, as well as the generally or the Indian dancer figure, one article emphasizing the importance of women in the landscape of science and heritage in India after the, 1947. I also had this opportunity in 2020, the invitation of the Center for Asian Studies in Bhubaneswar as a guest editor to launch a special issue of, it's called Margasya, the Journal of the Center for Asian Studies. It was called Dance in Asia, Worship, Ritual and Social Communication, and it gave me the opportunity to collaborate with outstanding researchers such as Ilana Chitaristi, Joseph Housel, Sharon Lowen, Shankara Jaraman, Kaberi Chatterjee, and Kaustavi Sarkar, and also to share my interest into the Kui tribal dance, as at the time I had become more acquainted with a girl from, I will not go into that. But anyway, as Professor Jatindra Nayak expressed in his introduction, it was the first time that a special issue of Mark Asia has been devoted to one of the major performing arts in India. I carried along this interest in knowing more about what is research on Indian classical dance, incorporating and with the excellent dancer cum researcher, Professor Dr. Kaustavi Sarkar, and we issued the South Asian Dance Studies in Nrita and Nritya, Choreography, Aesthetics and Heritage, also with excellent participation, published at the main, at the International Journal of the main Romanian university, the University of Bucharest. I was very much interested in the role of identity in Indian classical dance, especially in this aesthetic experience, and whatever means the exploration of dance as divine and transformative aesthetics and experience. I took the opportunity while in India and afterwards to discuss with other gurus and long-time practitioners on this fascinating figure of the Devadasi and try to understand her history and what she still represents for the practitioners today. And what came out was an article on the myth of the Devadasi in the imaginary of the contemporary Indian classical dance practitioners. And further, these are points that I try to understand because as a whole is not easy as a foreigner to understand. So I'm enlightening slowly for myself and for Romania and whoever wants to read what it means, the dance. The COVID time was a turning point, I think, for the dance world as for or any other worlds. Because in India, I witnessed how technology took over on-site learning and dance communication, and also how the new technologies started redefining with the online identity of the Indian classical dance itself and also of the dancers. I also, as I write on heritage, I did a research and wrote on the Dalkai as from a religious community ritual to a proscenium performance, and I had discussions at that time on the interest or possibility of this tradition becoming, maybe entering into the list of heritage of UNESCO, but it was only a discussion. It was, as a famous anthropologist says, that knowing other culture helps us better understand others. For a journal in Sambalpur, I think, Lokaratna is called, I wrote on the inclusion of a Romanian folklore dance called Kalushari to this UNESCO intangible cultural heritage. As while learning dance and also organizing a festival of Indian culture here in Romania since 2010, I witnessed this interest for the dance, for the Indian classical dance, and I wonder if not such as yoga entered into the list of intangible heritage. Maybe Indian classical dance could have, or forms of, I know some forms are, but it's just a question at the time in my head if we could not, if it could not also be better represented. Also, I have this observation that there are these communities worldwide established around dance and dancing. We have also in Romania, and they are connected on one side to the diasporic communities who form this cultural, who redefine their culture in foreign spaces, but also about foreigners who are highly interested in this, in the Indian culture and in forms of Indian dance. This is it. Thank you. If you have questions, of course.
You skipped some of your presentations, so we have time. So if you want to add anything, then you can go ahead. So I think you have got allotted 20 minutes. You just used 9 of those minutes. So if you want to add it,
I'm used to speak fast because I give classes. If you have
sorry,
questions,
actually,
I can.
I should have told, but still you have got 11 minutes from your,
Okay.
so you can, proceed and you can explain, elaborate anything you just cut short.
Okay, yes, I cut short, is true. If you have questions, it's easier for me if maybe if it's.
Will be okay. My question is, what did you cut short? So,
I'm used to cutting short because I give lectures and I always try to
you,
make sure.
I have questions, but best thing is like, whatever you left, because of like communication gap, you can bring them in. So you please go ahead, Dad. Go ahead with that.
Let me check because I try to put
please, may I ask a question?
yes,
Just
please. Thank
wait
you.
for 1 minute. If she has, because she
Okay.
was,
No,
because
it's fine if she asks, because I try to cover everything, so
okay.
it would be
Then madam,
redundant.
go ahead. Prof.
Please tell, what did you learn from Guru Kumkum Mohanty?
Actually, I had this fantastic opportunity to live with her the last 2 years of my scholarship. And of course, I learned her technique, which is very in-depth. But she taught me a lot about how she founded the Orisi Research Center, which is still a center of excellence. Also, she told me about how Orisi was was renewed and brought up as tradition and became actually a classical dance, how this classicization was possible for the dance, but was not possible, for example, for the Orisan music, though they tried also into that. She told me about the old masters, about the first schools of dance, about her travelings to all India and to Europe, about her family, of course, which is intertwined. I mean, family life and professional life always intertwined. Yes.
How much Odyssey items, repertoire did you learn?
I learned 11 items while in India. I also passed
And
an
which books
exam with
did you
ICCR.
read? Hasta Lakshana Deepika, Abhinay Darpanam, Natya Shastra.
Yeah, I
These
went
are
through
all.
them. Yes, I went through them, but I cannot, I mean, I'm, as I said, I claim only to be a foreigner who learns, so I keep learning. Yes, Natya Shastra I had read because my interest in Indian classical dance is for many years, and it was the first book that I read. That's why I also mentioned that Indian classical dance has to be also tangible heritage, because you have a long written tradition. It is not an oral tradition only.
So, how much of Indian classical dance being performed in Romania?
Actually, when I came to India, because I couldn't find at the time in Romania a teacher. At the time being, there are, I think, a few Indian ladies living here who teach Bharatnatyam. Yeah, but we have this festival, and once a year at least we bring artists from India to perform, and it is a huge interest in Indian classical dance. You would think that the audience interest might be in Bollywood, but actually the audience comes for the classical, and they request the classical, and they live. I mean, they try to imbibe whatever the aesthetic experience means. We invite also, we challenge also the gurus who come to also explain, and the audience is thrilled. Yeah, like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam, for the question.
One very famous name, although he passed away in 2004, and I don't know when did you go to Odisha. So Keluchan Mahapatra.
Yes. I was actually in his school. Yes, Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra is the founder of
Can you just say something about him, and what did people talk, and what did you learn? How did he shape the Odissi dance?
Actually, for what he belonged to the Gotipua tradition. He had, I'm still fascinating looking of the way he performs Abhinaya. He is that, I mean, and I remember when I saw first his recordings, he's an old man performing Radha in a sublime manner. I'm still fascinated by how is that possible. Yes, he was dedicated. He worked with Kumkum. They worked both. Of course, he was her teacher, as to many others. But Orisi Research Center, they started together. Also, the book of the manual, which now we use, was written together and with other scholars. He was not literate, but I think at some point he started learning. He was very curious, for what Kumkum said. When they went to Russia, he was able to communicate with the others by drawing. He was very good in drawing. There are still his drawings in the school where we learn. In the dancing room downstairs, there are still his hand drawings, which are exquisite. He left amazing choreographies, so intricate and complex. And Bhubaneshwar Mishra, who was a trained musician, left these gems of Indian culture, which are the Odissi items. Yeah, like this we have.
Yeah, you talked about also Devdasi system of some of the classical dances of South India. I don't know. Did you try to learn Natya Shastra you talked about, general, the broad yeah, the treatise you can say on dance, Indian dance. So did you try to learn about the variations in South Asian dances, Kuchipudi, Bharatnatyam?
Yeah, I went actually because my friend, her name is Hema Divakara, and she is giving classes here in Bharatnatyam, so I attend sometimes her classes. But to learn one form of classical dance, you have to go. I mean, it's a very systematic approach. So I cannot say that I'm also while in India I also tried learning Kathak, but I can define myself only as a learner of Odissi dance, let's say. Yeah, Bharatnatyam and South Indian tradition are fascinating. Actually, Odissi in the beginning was considered the little sister of Bharatnatyam, but then the Orissa state wanted, and those in the nucleus, first nucleus of gurus, they wanted and they tried to make Odissi a form of classical dance in itself, and they succeeded as well.
So just now we had a session on dissemination of Indian culture. So now you are a very perfect, say, ambassador of disseminating Indian dance culture. I would rather to say that. So what do you think? Like generally, it is believed that it's complex. You have to learn classical traditions. Like India started, especially speak Make, several them lecture and day dance kind of series of like teaching initiatives. But what do you think? What should be done to simplify so that common persons, really we said lok is not folk. So classical tradition is understood better. People understand it fine that there is, it should be disseminated and more people should know about that. Because as the title of the seminar says that it is beyond boundaries. So it is not any knowledge tradition, I mean, including dance tradition, is not confined only to India. It is for the world. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the philosophy, the broad philosophy which that guides us. So can you please elaborate on that? How to simplify and how to make it really available to people who do not know. I mean, we do not understand much of it, but yeah, we try to understand.
Oh, I'm sure you understand. So what I see is there are the members of the Indian diasporas who are making their efforts in establishing and explaining, because you cannot dance unless you understand what you dance, of course. And this is not easy to understand. I mean, it has to be somebody who can translate to you whatever is there. Also, there are these foreigners, let's call them, interested in Indian culture, who will learn some way or another, and then they will share to their own persons in their groups, whatever they establish. There are the centers, the cultural centers, but in Romania, in Bucharest, we do not really have a cultural center to rely, I mean, to know that it is there. Also, this could come maybe by cooperating with the embassy and further with ICCR, establishing these spaces where people can, to which people can relate and know it is there. Also, there should be libraries, because you cannot know without reading. as well. So maybe it's a little cooperation between communities, people interested in Indian culture and the authority who might, they are interested, but of course there are so many things to do. So
Okay, so that's very good. So very nice to know that you have got interest and you can be an Indian ambassador of Odissi dance. At least there are many other forms of classical dances and other dances also. So that is, thank you very much. Anything last request. If you left out and now you feel that I should add it too.
yeah, this is my request and what I've been talking, but especially in the context of my research on Dalkai, was why not more forms of Indian dance are not inscribed as UNESCO World Heritage as yoga is, because I'm not sure as Indian classical dance generally can be inscribed there, but maybe forms of Indian classical dance. And this is something that has to be done from India itself, but it is just a question like that, not a suggestion or anything.
You talked, I think, while answering one of the questions of Miss Chandra Anand, you talked about your 12 things you learned here. What are those? Can you tell about what 12?
11 items.
11?
Yes, we learn the introductory, the Mangalachara, and then we learn Pallavis, then we learn some Abhinayas, like that. My training is not exactly, I would like to continue my training, but so far I went out of India in 2020. So far I couldn't be able to return as I had to get back to my work and inscribe myself in my research area again. So I just hope to go back and continue my learning.
Learning, are you performing also, or you're just learning?
I am
Performing,
performing,
giving
yes, I
performances?
perform. I performed in India, I performed in Nepal, I performed in Bucharest a few times, but I do not perform very much in Romania because one, we do not have the stable stage for the classical dance. And second, I need the time to also explain, as I do not want to be seen as something exotic. So I choose a lot, as I'm also working in the academia, I choose a lot where I perform to give justice, to make justice to Indian classical dance.
Very good. Thank you very much. And I appreciate. I'm sorry that somehow we could not recognize
No
you.
issue.
So now
Thank
again,
you.
the last call for the two speakers. One I know is in the hospital, I'm told. There's Taliya Khafizova. If she had joined late, so again I'll request her to please come on and tell us whether she's here, and then we can give her opportunity. We have got some minutes left in this session. So otherwise, I'll give my closing remarks. So it seems she's not there. So we are at the end of the session. Only few minutes are left. So I just give my closing remarks. And after three excellent presentations, and we really learned, in fact, we also learned how the Indian traditions are working abroad and how it has been learned. And you know, the Indian traditions, or Bharatiya traditions, which we now call it quite frequently, are different from religious traditions. And this difference is we are pronouncing more and more. So this is nothing to do with our religion. We have got our religion, we have our religious practices, which we observe during different festivals. So that is different, but we have texts. And the Indian tradition, very interestingly, is enriched by non-textual elements also. And these non-textual elements are, in fact, are the dominant and the most salient feature of the Bharatiya tradition. So that we have to talk about. Three of the speakers really talked about different texts, starting from ancient to the modern. Uh, Dr. Apostolos Michailidis talked about uh, the 20th century and even 21st century texts, the texts which really enriched or which have been disseminated in different parts of the world and which give an an insight about the Indian or Bharatiya tradition. So that is really praiseworthy. And he, in fact, there are some classical texts and there are interpretations. He talked about Mahatma Gandhi to Nehru to Shankara and his Bhaj Govinda, everything. It is very, very interesting, and how even these interpretations discussed about the Indian tradition, the Bharatiya traditions, and the variety. I will not say, just now we say richness, but the complexity and uniqueness of the Bharatiya learning tradition. And the tradition, we generally do not want to freeze it at a point of time. Last, not Vedas are the only source of our knowledge tradition. And different traditions are also coming. There may be critics. Upanishads criticized or give a critic, whatever you like to call it. Vedantas disagreed with Vedas, but finally all come in one stream, one confluence. Kunds, what we say, the formation of knowledge takes place and different streams flow. So these different streams become different traditions in the Indian system or Bharatiya systems. So that's the uniqueness which we will start, and as has rightly pointed out, it ranges from Natya Shastra. We just heard about Natya Shastra, and earlier also is what talked, and from yoga to Kama Shastra to Ayurveda to many. You have got dharma. That's why we say dharma. Sometimes there is some morality also involved, not just religion. Morality, dharma, different principles or normative order, what we generally uh, talk about in the modern knowledge traditions. So all you will find there, the smritis, all are dealing with different issues, different themes, different problems, different context, and different times also. So this makes Indian tradition quite rich, and very nicely put by one of the scholars, that is a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern intellectual thought, and that underlines that underlines the Bharatiya tradition now. So this is what we have to remember always. And the professor pointed out the translation. I think translation is one great service done by many of the foreigners in disseminating Indian tradition. Or some of the Indians also did it, like Dara Sikho. He translated it in Persian, and because of that, it reached other parts of the world, not only in the parts where Persian language is understood, but also from Persian, other languages adopted the Indian tradition and Western tradition, which, in fact, very interestingly, got some of the knowledge from Dara Sikho's translated Persian work. So now Greeks have also translated, and French also did the same. And we are expecting that it gains more momentum in the European countries, and we are expecting it that yeah, we will have more and more people working on that and doing research. So that is there. So as again in the session, it has been rightly pointed out, this is Indian tradition is about spiritualism, but beyond that also. So not only beyond boundaries, but also beyond spiritualism. So spiritualism is also important when you do not know anything. So I was speaking in Hyderabad, and I talked about the religious tradition. And we discussed sometimes what happens, your knowledge tradition doesn't give you any clue about your problem you are facing. Then what will you do? Then obviously spiritualism gives you many of the answers. And I think spiritualism should not be seen something like unscientific. Spiritualism also has got some scientific basis. One of the presentations or one of the writings pointed out the scientific basis of spiritualism. So some works have been done also, like faith healing. To many such phenomena are coming now. So if you resort to the Bharatiya tradition, Indian tradition, you will find many such things happening. And in fact, there is need to do research on that. So this is what is happening. Some of the manuscripts are available, some are not. So Indian government has just instituted, whatever you call it, a manuscript commission, and ours is not just the ancient text, but ancient texts have been read and discussed and reinterpreted. So in many parts, you'll find that old texts, not just maybe hundreds years old texts and manuscripts are available, but are not recorded or not generally brought into the picture. So now the efforts are on to collect those manuscripts and again enrich the Bharatiya tradition. So I think in that also many of you can help, because what we discovered that some of the texts which were taken away, or you can say which were used by countries outside India or beyond boundaries, as this this conference is talking about. And when we brought some of those manuscripts back and translated them, we found a very interesting knowledge coming up and very interesting understanding of our system coming up. So that is also this rediscovery of, or you can say reclaiming, whatever you like to call it, of these manuscripts are quite relevant. And in fact, government is spending time and money on that. And I am also involved in some of those projects. So it will be very nice if in Europe, if you find old ancient texts or if you find reference to it, and you can refer it, or some works done on the basis of old texts, maybe 200, 300 years old, that could be also be relevant, and such kind of interactions may help us, and so we can recollect our memory, or we can rejoin our memories or dots, and we can have a new understanding coming up. So with this, I just hand it over to the moderator of the session. So over to you to give, I think, vote of thanks. But again, I also like to thank all the three speakers who gave wonderful presentations. This.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I give my much appreciation given to the three speakers for sharing a great presentation that has enlightened us with a new knowledge. It was a great interactive Q&A session as well. Thank you for that. We look forward to seeing more of such research work and collaboration work even in the future endeavor. And thank you so much to Professor Nayan for your invaluable time rendered here. You have made this session very meaningful one without with your questions and inputs at the simplest form, that everyone can feel very friendly and having a very friendly discussion and interaction that makes everyone comfortable and enjoy the learning at the same time. So that was a very, we're learning something else as well at the same time here because of this. And we give our sincerest gratitude and appreciation for making this session a grand or great success with your insightful inputs and also with a great conclusion remarks that you have given just now. And we hope to see you more. Thank you to all the participants for your presence here with your questions, queries, and your inputs, without which we will not be able to do it, but it has been a grand success because of your participations. So thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Namaste, namaskar.
Thank you very much.
Namaskar.
By the way, our session will continue. The next session will be by 1 p.m. So if anyone wants to continue the session with the next session, you can stay online or you can have some break and then join in back later. Thank you so much, everyone.